Welcome, guys. So as we're waiting for other people to join in, can you guys see that one image with the color blocks on it? Take a look at that and let me know what you think that is. So today we're talking about color. So the first week we talked about line. Second week we talked about shape. And this week, today, we're going to talk about color. Now, as we're doing this on the basic elements of art, you're going to see that, each one adds to the whole recipe. It's like baking a cake. You got a little bit of eggs, flour. So by week 8, which is going to be the ending of February, we're going to try to use all the elements that we've been practicing with to put a finished piece together. Now, what you can do is you can start doing it on your own if you want to have something finished. Thank you. I like my pinky too. So let's see, who else is here? I see Kat, Lillian, Heather, Evie. So if you take a look, so color is very intentional. When you're doing art, color is very intentional. It doesn't happen by accident. There's a reason why, if you're familiar with Darkwing Duck. Darkwing Duck's one of my favorite characters. If you look at Darkwing Duck, his colors are actually complementary colors to each other. So you have like a bluish purple versus like a yellowish orange. If you're taking a look at those blocks I had up top, if we look at the next one, and if you guess these correctly, South Park, Simpsons, and Family Guy. And you got those just on color alone. Hi, Laura. Thank you for joining us. Today we're going to be talking about color. We're just looking at some blocks of color. And I was asking people if they knew what they were looking at. And it was a breakdown of South Park, Simpsons, and the Family Guy. So if you take a look around you, there's color all around. Let's take a look at a photo. Here's a photo of Dana Point Harbor. And it was just about sunset. Now, I don't know how familiar you are with color and the use of color in art. I mean, I'm sure there's colors you like, and there's probably reasons you like them that you may not understand. You just might like the color blue or orange or pink. On the color wheel, this is a good example of complementary colors again, like I was talking about Darkwing Duck. You got blues and you got yellows and oranges. The opposite color of blue is orange. If we take a look at the next picture, you have reds and greens. Those are opposite colors. And then again, the next picture is another sunset from Dana Point. And it's one of the best examples of color in nature where you got a blue, an orange, and then you got this dark bluish foreground. It helps break up the scene, and nature has some of the best color compositions you'll find. Okay, so how many of you are familiar with the color wheel? Now, your basic color wheel breaks down into primary colors. Your primary colors are red, blue, and yellow. And then you have your secondary colors, which are green, orange, and purple. And if you look at the next side, it breaks down to even more than that. Those are your tertiary colors. So you have your primary, your secondary, and your tertiary colors. So if we go one slide over, these are your tertiary colors, and they're a combination of your primary and secondary colors. So if you mix yellow and green, you'll get a yellow-green color. If you mixed blue and red, you get purple. Now, these are very important depending on what your character, if you're drawing a character or if you're doing a scene or background, on what you want them to say. So we'll go to the next slide. So we got our color wheel, and it goes to primary, secondary. We have our tertiary, which is not shown here. You have warm colors, which if you look at summertime's an example of red, orange, and yellows. And then the winter, you have cool colors, which is purple, bluishes, and green. And then on the bottom right, you see your complementary colors. Those are colors that are opposite. So if you want a color that really you want a lot of impact or to be exciting or dynamic, you match red with green, purple with yellow, or blue with orange. Here's an example of a painting of complementary colors. If you look at the top row, you'll see a purple dot with a yellow background. Those are complementaries. And look how like hard that hits visually. And if you look below that, it's just the reverse with the purple background and a yellow dot. Same colors, but you get a different feeling of both. And if you look at them, the red and the green, that's a lot of energy against each other. It really vibrates. It's very dynamic. Or the yellow and orange, same thing. So earlier, Tater mentioned palette. This next scene is going to show you a palette, and it's a color scheme that someone uses to create when they're doing a painting or drawing. And they found that they like these colors that work well with each other. Last week, we talked about Inside Out, and we have the characters. Now, we talked about shape. Yeah, colors are very important. Very, very important. Because it sets moods. For example, the shapes we talked about last week is we got joy, sadness, anger, disgust, and fear. And they each not only have their own shape, but they each have their own color. And that color affects the mood that they want to portray. So let's take a look and see what we can do with color. I don't know if you have a pens, crayons, paints. What's everybody using today?
I'm using colored pencils.
Colored pencils is good. What are you working with today, Tater? Colored pencils is good. Evie, what do you have?
Probably colored pencils.
Okay, so it looks like everyone's going with colored pencils. Kat?
Markers.
Markers are good. I like markers myself. And Laura, what are you using? I'm going to guess maybe pencils. So let's start by doing a basic shape. We'll start with whatever line you want to use. Now, when you're drawing, and it depends what you want to, what type of feeling you want to give. Like colors create emotions and feelings. A lot of times when we think of red, it can mean different things. Red, when you think of red, like Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day, roses are a big popular favorite. But red can also, what do you think of when you hear red? Red can also mean danger. It can mean, like I just mentioned, roses, love, hot, fire. So when you draw or design your character, think of what it is. It's not just a drawing with random color. It's a drawing with reason. There's a reason why you picked your color or your character to be blue. If we go to comics, if you look at comics and heroes, a lot of times your heroes are primary colors. So if you take a look at Superman, Wonder Woman, Thor, Spider-Man, Captain America, a lot of them use primary colors: red, blue, yellow. Do we have that slide, Scott, under comics for heroes primary? Who else uses primary colors? Can you guys think of a few? Iron Man, the Human Torch, Shazam, Robin. If you notice, all of these, a lot of them use the same basic primary colors: yellow, red, and blue. So if you want a good guy, generally you'll use those colors. Or if you want Soundwave, is a good one. Captain America's red, white, and blue. Now, villains, on the other hand, use secondary colors. I know Hulk's not a villain, but originally he was kind of a bad guy. He wasn't really a good guy. He was kind of he could kind of flip depending on how angry or who upsets him. But your villains use secondary colors, which is the colors just adjacent or between the primary colors. Purple, orange, and that yellowish green. So when you're doing this, think about what you're trying to do. And colors aren't only used for characters; they're also used for movies too. So right now, let's go back to the drawing. So some of you are using colored pencils. I'm going to pull out some markers. So I'm going to start with pink. Pink's a warm color. You get a tint of pink when you add white. You get tints when you add white to anything. So if you add white to red, you get lighter shades. And in one of those shades will be, in one of those colors will be pink. So I'm going to start out with pink. And then so the complementary color of red, this is pink, I know, but of red is green. That's the opposite of red, which once again, we find in nature. So if you look around you, just around your house or just out in the garden, or if you're out on a walk, and if you just take a look at the colors around you in nature, you will see some of the best color schemes around. And if you watch Pixar, a movie, Pixar likes to do a lot of their lighting at sunset, because at sunset you get some of your richest colors. Now you can be drawing a rose with me, or you can be doing your own thing of colors that show the difference between complementary, or if you want to do something which the other term is analogous, which is your secondary colors and tertiary colors that are close to on the color wheel. So if you want to do another drawing and you want it to have colors similar, then you might on your color chart have a green next to a yellowish green, maybe next to a blue. And then if you wanted something to really stand out, the opposite of blue is orange. So then you would put this in a picture or drawing or character if you wanted that to stand out. So if I was doing a character, let's say, if I was doing a character with glasses, so maybe he would just have a regular skin tone, but you see, even your skin tones can be different colors that can make differences in the overall color scheme. So maybe I wanted him to be a little bit on the tan side. In that color scheme that we talked about earlier, we had blue, green, and green. Okay, so suppose this guy was a punk rocker. So we'll give him some green hair. Give him a light green shirt. So now if you take a look, what I'm doing is I'm coloring using this color palette that I just threw down a little while ago. So I got, in this color palette, I have my blue. And if I really want that to stand out, I could use another color that's on the other side of the color wheel of blue, like yellow. Now, if you see the colors that we're talking about on the color wheel, do you see how this stands out from the rest of the drawing? Because this blue and orange, they're complementary colors, but blue is cool, so it's closer to the greens, but the orange color is going to make this more dynamic than the rest of the drawing. Thank you. And then if you want, you can come back and clean it up. You can add details if you want to. So you get shades of color by adding black to color. So you get shades by adding black. You get tints by adding white. So if you have a character that you want different shades or different tints of a color, you would add white or black to it, and that would give you different values in there from light to dark. Anybody have any questions? Anyone want to share anything that they're working on? You got anything to share, Tater? No? Okay. So let's see some of your characters. I know a lot of you guys like to work on characters. You got something of your character to share?
I'd like to
Kat?
share.
So it's a character I designed.
Okay. Are you going to add color to them?
Yeah, I'm still working on finishing up the design and their eyes first.
What kind of colors do you think that you want to have?
I'm not sure yet.
Is it friendly? Is it kind of mean? What's the character like? What's the personality?
It's a friendly character. I haven't really designed. It was supposed to be a goat, but it ended up turning out more like a cow. So
I
whatever.
could see that. I could see parts of a goat in it though.
Maybe it's a hybrid between a goat and
I was
a
gonna
cow.
say, yeah, like a cow goat, a heifer goat. Well, good. Well, see, and that's one thing to think about. Like if you want your friendly character, you're not gonna have it be dark and gloomy colors, right? You know, it's it all depends on what the mood you want. Laura, I thought I saw you. Oh, I'll get to you in a moment, Evie. I think Laura had something to share.
So this is my character Midnight. Her full ref sheet can't fit on the screen, but yeah.
Nice. Nice. It reminds me of that one female character from Teen Titans, the color palette. The one with the hood, I can't remember her name. You guys watch Teen Titans? Raven.
I
Thank you,
haven't
Tater.
ever watched Teen Titans personally.
Yeah. But the color palette's very similar to Raven. She's good, but she's kind of moody. So she's a little on the like Midnight. Your color palette matches the name exactly. And then if you take a look at your tail's on the cool side. It's not warm, so it still fits in. Okay, so Laura, did you have something to share?
Oh, Evie would like to share.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Evie.
Hello. Here's my character.
Nice. Nice.
Thank you.
So how's this character? What's the personality and attitude of this character?
Well, I haven't completely decided, but I guess they're kind of crazy and fun-loving.
And the colors reflect that. Because the colors, they're not dark. They're kind of cool, but there's some warm colors in there also. So it's almost like on either side of the color wheel. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think Nathaniel would like to share.
Hey, Nathaniel.
I'm not finished.
Let's see what you got, buddy. Hey, lots of expression. I like it. Okay, your choice of color for the energy coming out of his mouth is it's warm, it's red, and yellows, which is, you know, red fire. A lot of times red, it's interesting, red is used a lot in advertisements. Looks very good. Thank you. I like it. If you notice, McDonald's, Burger King, red. A lot of their signs are red. And there's power to color. Red supposedly induces hunger. Pink supposedly makes you weaker. But there's a lot of psychology to the power of color and the meanings and how we react to them.
So, could I talk for a second?
Yes.
I was gonna say I did a huge study on the colors of restaurants, and so yellow is a very tense color. Looking at it is supposed to make you feel a bit tense, and red is sort of an alert color. So the reason McDonald's, Burger King, they use these colors, yellow and red, is because they want you to get food and leave immediately so someone else can come in and get some more food. Recently, they've wanted people to stay and enjoy their restaurant and people to like use their restaurant. So they've changed a lot of the color palette inside the restaurant to about greens, muted grays, muted browns, because those are very calming colors. Sort of like what Starbucks uses, because you're going to sit around in Starbucks for a while. You're not going to use just like sit in there and then like get food and then go immediately, like how McDonald's would be. So the next person would come in. I find that interesting.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Did you guys all get that? There's reasons why everything's are certain colors. If you look, Corpse Bride, Tim Burton uses Corpse Bride and it's lots of grays, cool grays, because everything's kind of dead. There's The Incredibles. The Incredibles has a great color palette. Did you want to add something, Tater? So yeah, let's take a look at these real quick. So the Corpse Bride, this is the color. So you know what a script is for a movie? It's what, you know, the actors read. Well, they also have a color script, and the color script will show the color throughout the movie. So in certain scenes, the colors might be dark and gray and grungy. In other scenes, it might be bright and happy. So let's go through these and we'll take a look at the different color schemes of some of the different movies. Aladdin, and if you look at the colors, see how the warm colors and the red colors, there's a transition of between it. So it's you have complementary colors, but they're not to a point where they're fighting each other. They actually work very well together. Let's take a look at the next one. Alice Through the Looking Glass, Johnny Depp, 2016. And if you look at the colors are the different values, but if you look at how much they're muted down, it makes a huge difference. Next one, Deadpool. Look at Deadpool's colors. Not very lively, not very fun or active. It's kind of dead, kind of like Corpse Bride. Everything's muted down. Edward Scissorhands, another fun one by Tim Burton. You've got muted down colors, but they're neutral. They're more, they're kind of boring, which Tim Burton was trying to give that light, that tone of suburbia, where it was kind of flat, neutral, not very exciting. Forrest Gump, once again, neutral colors, very flat, comfortable, nothing too exciting or dynamic. And of course, Frozen, notice lots of cool colors, and the warm colors have been muted down, so they have a lot of white in them, so they're not as warm as they could be. Harry Potter, it's got greenish blues, lots of cool colors going on in it. In this scene, it's all to set a mood. In Kung Fu Panda, You know, they're not very dynamic, but they're very comfortable. They want you to enjoy it, but once again, the colors all work together. And if you look at the swatch second from the left, it's one that stands out, was with the plum. So those are little bits of points that will actually create contrast in the scene. Peter Pan, once again, it's the example of how colors work together. Spirited Away. I don't know if any of you are Miyazaki fans. Very great director from Japan. Spirited Away, Totoro, Howl's Flying Castle. Yeah, Spirited Away, awesome. Howl's Moving Castle. Star Wars, classic. But yeah, all of these colors are chosen for a reason, and it's to set the mood and tone. For example, if in this scene, if BB2 was, like Scott was mentioning, yellow, which is yellow is a very intense color. If BB2 was a bright yellow, it wouldn't blend in with this scene as much. It's more of a muted yellow.
I think that was Des that was mentioning all that about the yellows and the reds.
Yeah, yeah, good observation, Des. Very good. The Avengers, you know. BB-8, thank you. The Hunger Games. This palette would be something that you might find in a desert. It's very, you know, not much life going on. Very dull, very dry. The Lion King, lots of warm colors, once again.
Sorry, I was corrected. It was actually Max that was mentioning those colors earlier.
Okay. Thank you, Max. So those are colors that you need to be aware of on the drawing. Like he was talking about, Scott talked about earlier about yellows and reds in food restaurants. One of my favorite logos is Batman. Batman has one of the greatest designs around. And it's just yellow and black. It's that simple. You know, it's that simple. And it's one of the best ones around. So when you're designing an art, so not only, so up to this point, we talked about line and the different lines you can have and different lines you can make. It all depends on the different tools you're using. We talked about shapes. And today we're talking about color. There's another thing, if we go back into comics, I know some of you like anime. So if there's an example I want to show you where it's about some of the different color combinations in anime. Can you pull up
Sorry,
that
trying to find
image?
it here.
No worries. It's under, there you go. So if you take a look at the different color combinations of this anime character, you got monochromatic, complementary, split complementary, analogous, which are colors next to each other, triadic, which is colors on 3 separate points opposite. So you can have different patterns, but each one, if you take a look at each one has a different feeling and different personality to the same drawing. So when you're designing your character, and I think it was Evie didn't have your colors picked, I believe, for your character. This is a good thing to think about. What was that?
I think that was Cat.
Cat, I'm sorry, Cat. That's something to think about, is what type of mood do you want your character to have? Do you want it to be, like Frozen? You want her to be on the cool side, on the warm side, or a little bit of both? Or you can mix it up. And was it your character, Evie, that had all the different colors on it? Or you could make it like that, so it can be a little bit of everything. So let's take a look at Darkwing Duck. Can you, by looking at this, can you tell what color palette's being used? Anybody? Well, if you guessed complementary, you'd be right. So, yes, blues and purples. But if you take a look at the color wheel on the left, you got blues and violets with yellow oranges. You notice how in the color wheel, they're opposite of each other. And that creates that dynamic. Though it's been muted down, they've added, it's more of a golden orange instead of bright yellow orange. His buttons are a little bit more on the yellow side, but it works. It works. I think somebody last week did a picture of Plank from Ed, Ed, and Eddie. So let's take a look at the Ed, Ed, and Eddie color palette.
I think that was Nathaniel, right?
Yes. Was that you, Nathaniel?
Yes, it was.
All right, good job. But see, if you look at the Ed and Eddie color palette, lots of warm colors, some cool, but the cool colors are muted down. It's like a bluish green. It's even got Plank in there. But they all work together because they're all part of the same family. Now, if one of them was like a droll gray and in dark and black, that character would stand out. And then the last one we'll take a look at is Winnie the Pooh. Once again, Winnie the Pooh, lots of different shapes. He's basically a circle. We talked about line and shapes last week. And he's just basically circles. That's just kind of been added on with appendages. And that's your basic Winnie the Pooh shape. Anybody have questions about color?
I have a
So-
question.
Yes.
How would you make a very complementary color for a character? Let's say if you used a different color, how would that look? Like, for say, if you use purple.
For a character? So, like for one of your characters, is that what you're asking? Okay, so if you have a different character, what I would do is do a drawing of your character. Could be anything. Let's say, suppose you had like a character like kind of like Daffy Duck. I would make your drawing and then make a couple of copies of him. make a couple of copies of your drawing. Do make 3 or 4 copies of your drawing, or how many you want to do, and then just take it and say, okay, well, maybe I want to try my character blue. So if you go and look on the internet, and just look up color wheel, color schemes, color schematics. Okay, and because I know this, you would find like the opposite of blue is orange. So if you wanted to make a color purple and you wanted to use something complementary to them, so purple's complement is yellow. So you would want to use yellow. Now, if whoever was designing Batman wanted to make a really strong impact in the logo, they could have made a dark, instead of black on his logo, they could have made it a dark purple. And that would create more vibration to the yellow. But the black's pretty clean. I like it. So if I wanted to make this more dynamic on Daffy's, this version of Daffy, I'd make his beak orange, because like that earlier example, I was saying orange and the blue, those create the most vibrations because they're opposite on the color wheel. So if you look up color wheel and you just look opposite of it, so purple is yellow, blue is orange, and green's an easy one to remember, because if you think about Christmas time and mistletoe, there's lots of green and red. Christmas time, there's lots of green and red. Halloween, there's lots of green and red. And those are great complements to work to each other. So I have this light green, this yellowish green, and this orange. And those two, they vibrate. Now, if I was to put a yellow next to that orange, see that yellow, and you have dark and light, but you don't have that kind of energy. You have a contrast of value, which is dark and light, but you don't have this dynamic thing going on right here. Does that answer your question? Anybody else have a question?
I don't really have a question, but I have a statement. Like you said, the dark purple and yellow, that's actually Batgirl's kind of logo. I know this because my brother likes to watch Lego Lego superheroes. I don't know why.
Well, that's exactly, if I was to create Batman's logo, it would be like Batgirl's, because purple will create more shock against the yellow than the black. I'd go with maybe a very dark purple, so it's almost black. But yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That whoever designed the Batgirl outfit did it for a reason, because they were going for something dynamic. You know, if they put something with yellow and orange, wouldn't have been as dynamic. It would go together. But yellow and orange is pretty much Iron Man. Iron Man's yellow and orange. His colors are this. Because you got the yellow and the orange and the gold. That's pretty much Iron Man. The Simpsons. The Simpsons are yellow because, if I remember correctly, I had a couple of friends that worked on it originally when it first started out, when it was on the Tracy Ullman show, and it wasn't The Simpsons on its own. And they chose yellow because it was the most amount of paint they had available for cell vinyl. So they ended up using yellow to make their skin. Anybody got anything working on with colors? I'd like to take a look and see what you guys got.
Max says his character is done.
Oh, I'd like to see that. Hey,
Here.
look at that.
There we go.
That's good. You know what the colors remind me of?
What?
Deadpool.
Oh yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
He's got some
Yeah.
Deadpool color going on there.
Yeah.
Does the character have a name?
Not yet. I didn't think of anything. I just kind of wanted to use some purple, black, and yellow. That'd look cool.
That's cool. Very cool. Thanks for sharing, bro. I like it. I like it. Anybody else have anything they want to share?
Here's Evie.
Hey, Evie.
I don't want to share.
Oh,
No.
I'm sorry. I thought I saw your hand up.
No, sorry.
No worries.
My fault.
So, when
Oh,
you were
tater
designing, what was that, Scott?
Here's Tater.
What you got, Tater?
I just got like some 2 little random sketches.
I like it. See? Good use of color. Good
Thank
use of
you.
color.
Thank you.
So, Scott, what else do I have? Was it the movies?
Yes, I have the one movie file.
Yeah, so like I was talking to you earlier about scripts for movies, there's also the color script. Here's a short video that I want to show you that shows you some of the mood settings that color can do. It's from Finding Nemo.
Oh, actually, I have the Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Okay, that's even better. We'll do Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. So what you saw is in a studio. When I walked in, they were working on Shrek at DreamWorks. In the studio, they'll have panels up on a wall, and those panels will be shrunken down storyboards. And those storyboards will have the color palettes of what they are. So they'll be shrunken down, and you'll see how much red is in a scene, blue, yellow, green, and each of those set a mood. So on Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, you could see there was above it, there was a color script above it that would match it. In Nemo, the one that it was 5 minutes long, I didn't want to have you sit through that. But Nemo, there's scenes that if you watch Nemo, if you watch any animation, especially Pixar, because they're very, very good at it, is they'll have sweeps of color. A whole entire scene or segment will be bluish or near sunset, and it's all to set the mood. Like in Toy Story 2, when Woody is getting taken at the garage sale, and it's all warm colors right there because it's, you know, they want it to be friendly, but then it changes when he's taken by Al. So let's do an exercise. If you guys want to do this with me, you can, but let's do an exercise like what I did earlier. So make a drawing, make it whatever you want. And you could do it, study in analogous colors. You could do it in complementary colors, or you could follow, I could lead it and you guys can follow me, or you can do your own thing. What do you guys want to do? You want to do your own thing? You want me to give you a project? Okay, I think we'll do our own thing then. Okay, sounds good. We're almost running out of time, folks. All right, everybody, what do you guys have?
I like the show.
Huh?
I like the show.
Hey, I like it. You got purples and yellows. Good job. It's exactly what I know. We only had a few minutes to do it, but you got a good start on it. But you got the idea of it. You could, if you want to sure double check and want to make sure if you don't have a color wheel, just do a search on the internet. Who else got something to share? Hi, Liliana. Hey, Evie, what do you got?
Hi, let me just try and find your background. I'm still finishing this.
Hey, nice, nice. And so what you do is like if you, when you do draw your character, I like it a lot.
Thank you.
Good use of color.
Thank you.
When you're drawing your character, and if you don't want to draw on your original, like I was telling Nate earlier, make copies of it. Make copies of it, and then you can change it, and you don't risk ruining the original that you have to start all over. In animation, what they'll do is they'll do model sheets. So they'll do a model sheet of a character, and if they want the character to do a turnaround. So sometimes they'll have the character front view, side view, three-quarter view, and they'll do either sometimes they'll do the head, or they'll do the whole body, where the whole body is front, side, and then a three-quarter view where they're turning off in an angle. So what this happens is it shows your character from all around, but they don't do it all on one sheet because they're like, oh, I like this one, and they don't like this one. They'll cut it off. They'll do a better version of this one, and then they'll put it on one piece of paper, and then they'll Xerox it or scan it in together. But yeah, that's a great way to practice, is to make your final drawing and make copies of it. And you can, like, suppose you want your character to maybe have horns, maybe you want to add an extra arm. You can do it without having to redraw the whole thing again, because you already drew it once, so you know you can draw it. You don't have to prove that to anybody. You don't have to keep drawing it over. Saves you time, and you can spend more of that extra time being creative. Hey, you guys, I know we're past our time.
Sorry, real quick, Kat would like to share.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kat. What you got? Hey.
Sorry, hold on. There we go. Should this
Hey.
is what I have so far?
That's good. I like it. I like it. And also makes a difference on what you're using to color. Color pencil, paints, watercolor, that all makes a difference. And like I said, don't be afraid to just make copies of it. Make copies of it so that you don't ruin it. And you could do like Nate was asking if you wanted a purple character. Oh, you could do a purple one, a blue one, an orange one, a green one without having to redraw it every time. Good job. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Tater, what do you got, buddy?
I got a thing of my OC Kicks who's kind of in development right now. But
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say kinda, is in development. Good.
yeah,
Now, do what I told you guys before. do make copies. So that way you don't have to draw them again next time. You could play around with his design. You know, in Captain Marvel, when she's changing her outfit and she's having her friend's daughter help her pick a color for it, how do you think they did that? They didn't draw her every time. They did it on the computer, but they used the same model and just threw different colors over it. But good job. Anybody else want to share before we go? No? Okay, so next week, if you're going to join us, we're going to be talking about form. So we did texture. We're going to be talking about texture, which is going to be interesting. We did line, we did shape, we did color. Next week is texture. And if you want, take a look online, see if you want to get a little familiar on what texture we'll be talking about. All right, you guys, everybody good? Do you want something else to add?
Thank you. Bye.
All right, thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Darrell.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.